they can achieve a legal status. That's the only way to solve the problem. Now understand that when we do that, they will actually then be subject to minimum wage laws. They'll be subject to overtime laws. So employers now, if they're choosing between a American worker and somebody who's a legal immigrant, now the illegal immigrant doesn't have an advantage over the American, whereas the illegal immigrant, because they're getting paid less, oftentimes might get hired instead. So it actually can strengthen U.S. labor laws. There's one last point to this, though, one last component to this, and that is we've got to help Mexico improve its economy for its workers. So we've been hearing a lot about how NAFTA hurt U.S. manufacturing. But you know what we don't hear about is how NAFTA destroyed the Mexican agricultural sector, because suddenly food imports from the United States tripled into Mexico. Drove farmers all off their lands. They couldn't compete with mechanized farming here in that big agribusiness. And so a lot of the people who are coming here are actually displaced farmers from Mexico who can't find a job in Mexico. Now, obviously, we got to work on helping folks here get jobs. But if we want to control immigration, we've got to partner with Mexico as well to try to improve the economy for them so that people can stay there and actually support a family. That's something that they can't do right now.
She's afraid I'm going to keep the microphone. Senator, thank you very much for coming. And you know, I used to teach at Punahou School in Hawaii. Yeah.
How long did you teach there?
Just about a year. I taught PE there.
That's my alma mater.
That's right.
Pretty nice weather, isn't it?
So aloha. Yes, absolutely. Beautiful. But actually, speaking about this, and speaking about the kids, and I also make documentaries for the History Channel, so I'm very much in touch with history and the importance of it. I look at all these kids, and I tell you, it breaks my heart to think that we can be so afraid to go to school today because of gun violence. And I know it's a very controversial and a very difficult topic that no politician wants to touch, because it's gun control is not a very popular topic. But I know you're a very courageous man, the most courageous one standing today. That's why you're still standing. So I guess I'm asking you, can you, between just you and us here, we will tell, can you tell what you have in mind for gun control for America?
Well, you know, I've been very consistent on my position on this. I believe that the Second Amendment gives people the right to bear arms legally for hunting and sportsmanship and for protecting their household. And there is a tradition of gun ownership in this country that I don't have a problem with at all. In fact, I think it is something that people value and care about very deeply, and they do here in the state of Pennsylvania. But there's also, in addition to that reality, the other reality which you spoke about, which is kids getting shot or shooting each other because of illegal handguns that have ended up on the streets. And I just think that we should be able to come up with a common sense approach that preserves those traditions of gun ownership, but also deals with violence. And that means making sure that our background checks actually work. They don't right now the way they should. So we've seen on college campuses, time and again, people with serious mental health problems are somehow able to get guns because we don't have a good enough background check system. People with mental health problems, children, those with criminal records, they shouldn't be able to buy guns. That's number one. Number two, we should be able to trace guns that are used in crimes to the gun dealers where they were purchased. Because there are a lot of legal gun dealers, but you've got a lot of unscrupulous ones that will sell to what's called straw purchasers, people who really are going to fill up their van with guns and suddenly dump them in the middle of urban communities. And we've got to crack down on some of that. We've got to close the gun show loophole, which allows people to sell guns at gun shows without a background check. That's a problem. So I think there are a number of common sense gun laws that we can put in place that don't contradict the Second Amendment or traditions of gun ownership. Now, one other point I want to make though, and that is that we have to also look at some of the underlying causes of violence, particularly in urban communities. Because if kids start off school behind, if they are functionally illiterate, if they drop out of school, if they don't see a future for themselves, if the only role models they see on the streets are drug dealers, if they've got no father in the home, then that creates an atmosphere in which violence starts becoming more acceptable. It seems normal to people. And that is something that we're going to have to change. We've got to transform. And that's why it's so important to invest in early childhood education, to close the achievement gap so kids are ready when they start school. It means after-school programs and summer school programs so that kids who don't have the benefit of summer camp or a nice home where they can quietly do their homework, that they've got someplace to go that's safe. It means that we should work with young people starting as early as 8th grade or 9th grade. Not everybody's going to go to a 4-year college. So if we can get young people and we can connect what they're doing in the classroom to the future jobs, if they've got artistic skills, you know, having them apprentice with a graphic designer. If they've got manual skills, having them apprentice in terms of potentially joining a trade where they can make a good living. That kind of approach also keeps young people engaged. There's one last ingredient, though, that you can't replace, and that is parents have to parent. You know, parents have to turn off the TV set, put away the video game, read to your kids, make sure they're doing their homework, discipline your kids. If your child gets in trouble at school, don't curse out the teacher. Government can't do everything. Government cannot do everything. All right, we got time for 2 more questions. 2 more questions. Young lady right there. Oh, no mic. You got them? No. Wait. I called on that young lady. I called on her. I didn't see you. All right, I'll call on you. I'm sorry, I didn't see you. All right, everybody just settle down. I can't call on everybody. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you.
Got the same problem.
I'm so grateful for the opportunity for you to be here with us. This is truly a blessing. I'm so excited about it. But my question to you is, you're doing excellent in the campaign. You're so far ahead, and I'm so excited. I think we are here to support you and believe that you are going to be our nominee.
Can I just say one thing though? I'm not so far ahead in Pennsylvania right now. We got some work to do, so you got to go tell your friends and neighbors. We're behind here. We got a lot of work to do.
But saying that, my question to you is, believing that you are going to be our nominee, you're going to be head-to-head with Senator McCain. What are your points besides the war in Iraq that will make you a better president than him?
Oh, well, listen, I think it's a great question. Let me say this. You know, I honor John McCain's service to our country. He is a genuine hero.